That's all everybody needs right now.
Damn, you're right.
God damn it, man.
That was so bad.
The Bears in Baltimore. Well, we were 4-2 last year and ended up extremely bad. So at this point now, you're 4-2 this year, and you go into a team that doesn't have Lamar Jackson, and you absolutely get demolished where you feel like you have no hope in that game for the most part. Yeah, I'm just hoping we don't end up terrible like we did last year. No! No, 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 no! No!
So that was not how it was supposed to go. The run game we'd been building these past few weeks, non-existent. The defense that took the ball away from the opposition, like that is what they were made to do, non-existent. An offense that can finish good drives by scoring touchdowns in the red zone, non-existent. And when those three things are missing, you know how that story goes. You lose to a team that has only one win and is missing their MVP quarterback. And getting to watch that with my own eyes, 5 rows from the field, was rough. So, what did we learn about the Bears this week?
I think we hope that they don't lose 10 games in a row like last year. So
That's great.
not great. But honestly, like I didn't catch the game live. I had to watch parts of it afterwards. So bear with me if I don't have all the details. Um, I think one of the things you said there at the end has been a habitual problem for the Bears is turning the field goals into touchdowns. The red zone has not been good for a couple weeks in a row now. They're really good between the 20s. They average almost one explosive play more per game than the next team. They're getting chunk plays. They're playing well. They just can't get into the end zone, and that's the difference. Caleb, started fast. The first couple drives looked really pretty until they stalled out in the red zone. But then, he had some moments like brain farts, like at the end of the half. The intentional grounding, not getting out of bounds, not giving Santos a couple extra yards on that field goal attempt, I think was big. Obviously, the interception was bad. That really cost them the game at the end. But other than that, I don't think he played horribly. I think the Ravens defense was healthier. I think they got a lot of guys back on that side of the ball. And I think that's a good team, regardless of what their record is, 1-5. I think that they're better than that. So I don't know. I wouldn't say the sky is necessarily falling. I'll get more into that later. But first, I kind of want to hear about your whole experience in M&T Stadium. How was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, and I'll kind of even tell you about the experience in Baltimore. So we got there Thursday night, and pretty much this whole trip was like feeling pretty confident about the Bears. And even with Lamar playing, the assumption at the time Lamar playing was like, all right, this is going to be pretty close and it's exciting. You want to find out really where the Bears are at. So you want to go up against the best to figure out what's the deal. But that didn't really change kind of the feeling about, how confident we felt going in. And then once we found out that he wasn't playing, it was like, well, now how many points are we going to win by and how badly are we going to smoke Baltimore? So that's what you heard at the beginning was kind of that feeling in spirit at the end of the game, that deflated sort of assuming you're going to win. And it looked with our eyes kind of way different than the numbers showed. Like I think we were all kind of surprised by how many yards like Caleb actually threw for and how many yards Rome received just in watching it live. Being in Baltimore during a Bears game, pretty dope, man. It's a very nice city. It was kind of wild to see a bunch of people in Bears shit on the plane, wandering
Nice.
around the streets. Like I'd never really been to another city to watch a Bears game, and to see just like a lot of Bears people in Bears gear was real cool. People would like give you high fives. I saw some people like at the game doing one of these big shoulder elbow thingies
Yeah,
to each
yeah,
other,
yeah, yeah,
like Bears
sure.
fans. And it was, dude, we'd like walk around, and one of the security guard was like, you guys don't own this city, because I guess just Bears fans kept going to the bar. So it was really dope, dude. People would like yell from afar, but it was a
They
very
travel
like,
well, man. Bears fans travel really well.
yes. And the Baltimore fans that were talking shit were really cool, and it was like a very fun
Yeah.
energy. And then even in the stadium, yeah, we were like 5 rows from the field, like on the side where the Bears were coming down. So we got to see like some of those early not touchdowns up close. The stadium was nice, dude. A lot of Bears fans. There's a Chicago lady right behind us. A shit ton of Bears fans in the field. I feel like they were really nice. Like more aggressive interactions have happened with Bears fans in Chicago by
Yeah.
us than any of that here. So it was a dope environment, man. It was very cool. The stadium is beautiful. Yeah, great experience, man. Very fun. I mean, I think there was a little bit of a hesitancy to be like, it is weird to walk into an away stadium, and I think one of the homies on the trip was like, let's not end up on Twitter getting our asses whooped.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's like the
Real
fear.
fear, man.
I
That's a
think
real fear.
yeah, I think that was a Mel that said that. So, I mean, I think there was definitely like a little bit of like, if we start to get mouthy and cheer, like, are people gonna get upset? But no, dude, it was shout out to M&T Bank Stadium, dude. Lovely
Nice.
place.
Well, that's good, man. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I guess the game viewing experience then outside of the game itself was pretty good. So
Yes. Yeah. Awesome, dude. I mean, there was a CBS camera that kept being right in front of us, and people were behind us were screaming that 60 minutes sucks. So that was
oh,
really,
all right.
really funny.
Interesting. That's a weird hill to die on, but
We did have a Baltimore guy screaming bye to all of us after the game was over. Everyone that was a Bears fan, but it was dope, man. It was really cool to like just be in the city and see a bunch of people wearing Chicago shit and like know that you weren't like alone.
so for you guys in the stands, was it gloom and doom basically the whole way out, or did you guys feel like the Bears played well at any point? Was there palpable like excitement there?
Yeah, the beginning felt good, dude. I mean, the first, even with I would say kind of when the Ravens scored their first touchdown, it was like, God damn it, dude. Like that's kind of when it started to
Mm.
maybe, I wouldn't say spiral, but it started to feel like this is not good. I mean, the pick was probably like the point where it fully flipped because was it a
Yeah.
3-point game at that point? It was on their side of the field. They ended up scoring. Um, I mean, at some point, like with a decent amount of time left in the fourth, it just kind of felt out of reach, even though they did put together some like nice, like, there's a beautiful DJ throw or DJ catch. Um, but yeah, I mean, you could feel it just because it had felt like the not converting touchdowns into field goals was happening again. So it didn't
Yeah,
feel great.
that's the biggest thing, man. These guys keep shooting themselves in the foot. It's that, and it's the penalties, right? They got 11 penalties again for like 80 yards. I read a stat somewhere that they've had 17 penalties converted to first downs so far this year, and they had 18 total last year. So like they just keep shooting themselves in the foot. Now the officiating hasn't been great across the league this year, so that part can be cleaned up. But it's the pre-snap stuff, right? Like take that out of the ref's hands. We have such little margin for error on these things that we can't keep like giving these teams extra possessions and extra yards.
Yeah.
And Caleb's performance, people are down on it. They're like, oh, he's not the guy. It seemed that way when I watched it a little bit. Like, what are we doing? Inaccurate passes occasionally here and there. Obviously, the pick was bad, but listening to people like Ben Johnson, for example, and Kurt Warner and some other people that like know the game, they actually didn't think he played as poorly as maybe it looked on film. From the broadcast view, I think the all 22 is a little bit more generous to him in terms of, he was making the right reads. Maybe he was just a little inaccurate. Him and they got to get cleaned up some of the stuff where they're not on the same page, like especially the very last play of the game where DJ was, you know, looked to be wide open in the end zone. But if you watch the all 22, he's right. Roquan Smith's right in front of him. And there's a gap right next to Roquan Smith. And I think Caleb was expecting him to continue to run into that gap. And DJ just stopped
Mm.
behind Roquan. And that's why it was kind of an errant pass. So, who's that on? It's on both, right? They got to work on their communication. But I think Caleb is more of a project than everybody initially thought, myself included. And especially hard when you compare him against like his fellow class. But his fellow class, I think, still had a leg up on him just because of the style that they played in college. Caleb came from USC with Lincoln Riley, very like, air raid offense, shotgun, pre-snap motion, not very pro style in any like way. It's like creative, explosive, not structured at all, right? Drake May coming from North Carolina was a lot more West Coast inspired. So there were like reads and progressions and route concepts that he had to learn. So, while his rookie year was also kind of a shit show with Gerard Mayo, I think he was further along than Caleb. And I mean, that's evident now, right? He's a lot more comfortable with these timing throws, anticipation throws, full field processing. He did a lot more of that, right? And even Jaden at LSU was kind of in a hybrid spread, but he just still had pro concepts, like traditional protections, traditional motions. He had a lot of that he worked under. He didn't work as much. He didn't work a ton under center, but still more than Caleb in that air raid offense. So I think Caleb is further behind than these guys, and I mean it is evident, right? Those guys seem to be picking it up a lot faster. But I still have. I'm not panicking on Caleb Williams. I actually think he's going to have a pretty big game against the Bengals because I think he's due, and the Bengals are not very good, despite this infusion of Joe Flacco. They've got some powerful weapons on offense, but that defense isn't really stopping anybody. The Jets just put up like, a ton of points and won a game. So I think Caleb's going to be fine. I'm not panicking with the sky is falling. I think Caleb is still doing pretty well. He's coming along, and I think Ben's the right guy to help him along with a lot of that. And I think Ben is kind of a right guy that's not going to let this really loss spiral out of control. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure, dude. I mean, I think, you can't consistently have no touchdowns and a pick in a game and expect to win. I mean, it's nice if the
yeah,
run game can pick you
yeah,
up. It's nice if the defense can pick you up. And this was a game where like none of that really like
yeah. Ben didn't
helped.
have a great game, right? He only ran it 11 times with Swift, and Swift seemed to be doing okay. The defense, I mean, it's hard to blame them. They're on like cornerback number 5 and 6.
For sure.
They were getting smoked by Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, they're not really they're like practice squad guys, right? And
Yeah.
they didn't have any takeaways. You can't. That's not sustainable. But what's most disappointing is no pressure, right? They only finished the game with 3 quarterback pressures, and your two big signings on the edge, both healthy, both played. Why isn't that producing? So
Yeah.
this felt like a little bit of an indictment on Ryan Poles as well. His pass rushers are not generating pass rush. To me, like his rookie class, MIA again, you know. Colston Loveland, his opportunity to shine. He only finished with like 38 receiving yards. Maybe some of that's on Caleb. I'm not sure. Luther Burden, I mean, it's not his fault, but he left the game with a concussion. Ozzie Trapillo never played. Shamar Turner tore his ACL. Now he's out for the season. Ruben Hippolyte, inactive, right? Not great. I mean, Kyle Monangai is like probably the most involved. He's starting to find
Yeah.
himself a little bit, but even then, he got what 20 something yards rushing, wasn't a big
Yeah.
factor. So it's hard to win when you have injuries that you have to deal with, and you're not getting a lot from your rookie class. So it's tough. I think the Bears they're not competing for anything. I don't think this year. I don't think hopefully people's expectations were not that. I know Pulse of the People, we had some lofty ones, but
Yeah.
I think they're still right in that 8 to 9 win range. I had them for 10 because I was at 9, and then I was like, you know what, they're gonna beat Detroit last game of the season. I just went with it, so I had them at 10. Still could be possible, right? I don't think that they're gonna spiral like they did last year.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting how, yeah, I mean, you go on a 3 game win streak, you're like, well, it's not that hard to go like, can they win four more or three of the next four? So you can kind of spiral in both directions. I'm kind of with you on that. Like, I don't know if Caleb numbers wise looked good with the eye test, didn't look like stellar. And
Mhm.
I think, given that Lamar wasn't playing, a little extra frustrating that they didn't really like blow them out the water, given that they were in positions to score.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
put themselves in positions to score. And I gotta remember that Ravens team, this was their season. If they lose and go to 1-6,
Yeah.
done, right? And
Yeah.
they're coming off a bye. I expected them to play inspired football. I thought the Bears would win. Actually, I thought they would win, pretty handily because I didn't think there was anything the Ravens did better than the Bears
Hmm.
with Lamar Jackson out. That was obviously, wrong. But I'm not panicking, right? Yet he completed about 66% of his passes, threw for like 285 yards, no touchdowns, which is bad, but they got in the red zone, right? They're able to do that. I I think I feel like he still has that clutch gene, right? I mean, I still felt like, oh, this guy can drive us down and score. He did it against the Raiders. He did it against the Commanders. When we need him to move the ball, he does. The pick was bad, obviously. I just think there's a lot of things that they're doing self-inflicted that I think Ben Johnson has to work on cleaning up, particularly the penalties. He can't have the team continue to like put themselves behind the sticks or give the other team first downs.
Yeah, I mean there was a penalty on the first like kick of the game, so it's like really just we're starting the game off strong. I do like the use of the two running backs. Like they didn't really have a lot of yards, but I like that. Actually, technically, maybe the three running backs with DJ Moore floating around in there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do like that. I mean, they just it seems like if they were going to continue to play the way that they played the last couple weeks, eventually you're going to lose, and that's kind of what like happened. You really needed a little bit more from a throwing offensive perspective. I mean, yeah, from the comparative it felt so deflating given how high we felt like one having a lovely weekend in Baltimore and then just assuming you're going to win and then being there and seeing all these like Bears fans and then you watch that like stinker like on the numbers it's
Yeah.
like all right whatever but watching that like because like yeah you get two field goals and you're like cool and then that touchdown just like kills the momentum like
Yeah.
the
Especially how easy it looked for Huntley to complete passes. And you're like,
yeah
why is this happening? Why is it
yeah
so easy for them and so hard for us, right?
yeah yeah I mean I don't think I feel any I think, yeah, it's just, I guess that Ben Johnson effect of just like it'll be figured out. The offense still has flashes. There's like I was
Yeah.
watching another Tim Jenkins, and there was like the pick to Rome. Ben Johnson in a post game was like, we want him to throw it to the like to the
Running back,
Manungai.
Canva.
Yeah, so it's like little things like where is he being told to look? There was another one where Manungai like kind of for which would have been a touchdown, or he like cut in, and Caleb ended up getting like his feet taken out early on and ended up getting sacked.
Mhm.
Like Manungai was like thrown, he would have been open up the middle, and it was happening really, really quickly. So it's like the plays and the structure and the scheme seem to be there. So it's just, maybe
Yeah.
working on Caleb's eyes, getting him more comfortable in that. Like, and also, I mean, they're making awesome throws. Like there were so many sort of like digs underneath that were just like completion after completion and deep completion after deep completion. So it's like it's not like it doesn't feel like a clusterfuck. It just feels like we should have won and there were so many opportunities left on the table, like
There were.
runners in scoring position type shit.
I mean, like, look, it felt like they got blown out, but honestly, they were a bad face mask call that didn't get called on DeAndre Hopkins away from getting the ball back, right? With a chance to like tie it again,
Yeah.
and they were always behind it seemed, but they were always like there. And
Yeah.
even when the defense didn't play so great, Caleb, you know, he it's a game that you want him to win for the Bears when the defense doesn't get a takeaway, and it didn't happen. So people are like, you know, myself included, a little disappointed in that, and you want him to go
Yeah.
further along, but by no means is the sky falling. He's had 20 some odd starts. He's got one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. I'm not super worried about it right now.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you then kind of looking for next week? I know you kind of said that you think he's going to have a big game. What are you hoping to
I hope
see?
I'm hoping to see a little bit more, playing on time, a little bit just easy stuff. Let's complete the layups and let's minimize our penalties, man. Like we need to we need to minimize that for sure. I think the Bengals are, let's see, I think they're dead last in yards per game, dead last in rushing yards per game. This is for their defense, and then second to last in passing yards per game. So, you got to be able to kind of light this up, or at least light them up. I think, if you wanna win. I am worried about Jamar Chase because he's like going up against our beat up secondary. I don't know if Tyreek Stevenson's playing or not.
Yeah.
It's something to watch out for. But maybe the return of Austin Booker will provide a spark. He was a monster in the preseason. I think he had like 5 sacks in the preseason and a forced fumble. Like he played really well, and he hasn't played, since he got that ankle sprain. So I think having him activated might give us a little bit of a spark. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Bears putting together, you know, a good solid game and getting back on track. And Caleb having that, all right, guys, I'm on the right track kind of game, like
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboy-esque or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the big takeaway is like, yeah, just that feeling that the sky is not falling. Like,
If they get crushed by the Bengals, I mean, that was, yeah, this Ravens game was like worst case scenario, right? It was
yeah,
like if Lamar had played and they got blown out, you would have, okay, fine,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
If Tyler Huntley played and the Bears, didn't play their best because Tyler Huntley scored a lot of points, but Caleb looked really good, you'd still be like, okay, well, our defense was like super injured and like, but at least we can score points and keep up with anybody. But
yeah,
it was like the worst of both, right?
yeah,
The defense couldn't stop Tyler Huntley, and Caleb couldn't overcome that and outduel him, so to speak, and be the hero.
yeah,
I think if the same thing happens against Cincinnati, you're probably going to get a lot of the same. But I think it's important to remember that this year is just about learning and building on that, and not to like get overly panicked. Because I think unless like he goes out and throws like 5 interceptions, you're not moving on from Caleb, right? He's
yeah,
gonna be the guy. You got to like take the highs and the lows and see how Ben reacts to that, and how he coaches him up. And I still have all the faith in the world in Ben Johnson. So um, yeah, let's see. I'm excited to see how they do.
yeah, same. Where can people find you? Where can they listen to you? All
Yeah,
that
so
jazz.
I'm doing another preview tonight with On Tap Sportsnet, previewing the Bengals game. That should be at 8 Central. So you can find that on tapsportsnet.com, or if you follow Bears on Tap on X, they usually tweet out the link as it's going live. So we'll be previewing that with Q from On Tap Sportsnet and Brendan Shagru from Bears Wire. So we'll be doing that, and then yeah, I wrote the Bear Essentials or yesterday actually, so you can find it's basically just takeaways from the game. Some of the stuff we went over, and then there was a couple other things that I had in there that we didn't get to, so you can check that out on tapsportsnet.com as well.
Awesome. And if you want your voice heard at the beginning of an episode, like you heard the voice of other people at the beginning of this episode, you can email us at bearsintheneighborhood@gmail.com. It is bearsintheneighborhood@gmail.com, and we can throw you on possibly in a future episode.
Mhm.
For Samir Patel, I'm Chirag Rathod. We are the Bears in the Neighborhood, your weekly insight into the Chicago Bears in under 30 minutes, and we will catch you all next week.
Everyone, take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.